The council chamber smelled of polished steel and arrogance. Rourke Voss stood in the center, his boots silent against the black stone floor, eyes fixed on the semicircle of alien delegates. Beyond the high glass walls, the void shimmered with the lights of 1,000 docked ships. Fortress Chiron, humanity's last true stronghold, hung above Earth like a watchful sentinel. 3 fleets, Rourke said, his voice low but carrying through the hall. 2 staging at Varaxis Prime, 1 hidden in the Orion Drift. They'll be here within the month. The silence that followed was worse than any jeer. The alien counselors shifted in their seats, scaled, feathered, and chitinous bodies moving with subtle tells he'd learned to read in war. High Chancellor Ivraean, a silver-skinned Lutheri with eyes like frozen moons, leaned forward. Commander Voss, humanity signed the peace accord. The Dominion would not risk. They would. Rourke cut in. His tone was steady, stripped of politeness. And they will. Charon's not a diplomat. He's a soldier. He respects one thing, decisive force. You let your guard down, and you'll find his blade in your throat before you've finished your speech. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. A few glanced toward the Varaxis ambassador, who sat stone still, hands folded. Only the faint curl of his mouth betrayed him. Rourke met the alien's gaze and saw it, the glint of recognition. Charon knew he was right. I've fought your wars, Rourke said, stepping closer to the council ring. Bled for this galaxy. I've buried soldiers under alien suns so you could keep your trade routes open. And now I'm telling you, Earth will burn if we wait. Ivraean's voice sharpened. Your passion is noted, but there is no confirmed threat. Mobilizing your fleets without proof would. Proof? Rourke's laugh was humorless. By the time you see proof, it'll be in the form of orbital fire raining on your cities. The Chancellor's pale eyes narrowed. Enough, Commander. You're dismissed. Dismissed. The word hit harder than any shell. Rourke turned without a salute and walked out, boots striking harder than before. He could feel Charon's stare burning into his back all the way to the chamber doors. The station corridors felt colder after that. He walked with a soldier's purpose, passing civilians in gleaming uniforms and merchants hauling crates. Peace had made them soft, faces unmarked by war, eyes untrained for danger. A voice caught up with him. Sir, Commander Voss. Rourke stopped. The voice belonged to a young man, barely 20 if that, tall, wiry, with regulation-cut black hair and the earnest look of someone who hadn't yet seen what the galaxy could do to a person. His name tag read Merrick, A. I was in the chamber, the recruit said, breathless. You're right, aren't you? About the Dominion. Rourke studied him. You believe me because it's convenient? Or because you've seen something? I saw the relay data from Listening Post 7. Energy signatures, sir. Big ones. Then the files got pulled. Rourke's gut tightened. When? 30 hours ago. I tried reporting it, but the lights in the corridor flickered once. Then twice. A low, bone-deep rumble vibrated through the deck. Rourke didn't hesitate. Move, he barked, breaking into a run toward the nearest viewport. Merrick followed without question. Through the thick glass, Earth's curve glowed soft and blue beneath them. Farther out, in the darkness, a sudden flare erupted. A pinpoint of white that bloomed into a silent sphere of fire. Marek's voice cracked. That's Listening Post 7. Rourke's jaw clenched. The post was gone, wiped clean. No survivors. A second later, Fortress Chiron's klaxons screamed to life. The command deck was chaos. Officers shouted over one another, data streams blurring across holographic displays. Rourke pushed through until he reached the tactical station. What VE we got? Unknown vessel just jumped out of the drift, an officer replied. Transponder scrambled, weapons hot. We're scrambling interceptors. Don't. Heads turned. That's not a battle group, Rourke said, scanning the tactical feed. It's a scout. If you hit it, you'll confirm we know they're here. Let it run, but track it. The deck commander frowned. Why? So we can see exactly where it's reporting back to, Rourke said. This isn't random. It's stage 1 of a full strike plan. Before anyone could argue, another voice crackled over comms. Strained, urgent. Unknown vessel accelerating. It's dumping something. The feed updated, showing a small cluster of objects drifting toward the station. Rourke's blood went cold. Those aren't mines. They're beacon nodes. They're marking us. Within minutes, the alien ship vanished into slipspace. The beacons stayed, pulsing faintly in the void. The council convened again in emergency session, this time without inviting Rourke. He stood outside the chamber doors, listening to muffled voices argue over protocol and politics. Merrick approached, carrying a small black case. "Sir, you said proof wouldn't come in time. But this..." He opened the case to reveal a data core warm to the touch, pulled from the comms relay before it got scrubbed. Fleet formations, attack vectors, Var-Axis signatures. Rourke's eyes narrowed. "You realize possessing that's a court-martial. Figured it was worth it if it keeps Earth breathing." For the first time in years, Rourke allowed himself a thin smile. The kid had spine. He turned toward the viewport again. The beacons were still out there, blinking in the dark like watchful eyes. Somewhere beyond them, Karen was moving his fleets into position. "They're not listening," Merrick said quietly. "They will," Rourke replied. "Just not yet." The kid frowned. "Then what do we do?" Rourke's gaze stayed fixed on the void. "We prepare. And when they come, we show them why they should have killed us the first time." Cliffhanger ending. Hours later, alone in his quarters, Rourke keyed a secure, unregistered channel. The signal bounced through ghost satellites and dead relays until a cold, mechanical voice answered. "Commander Voss, it has been a long time." Rourke leaned forward. "Project Revenant. Wake it up." The AI paused, then replied, "Acknowledged. War protocols reinitializing." Outside, the beacons kept blinking. Somewhere far away, Overlord Karn smiled. The sky above Var-Axis Prime burned crimson. Not from the sun, but from war. Rourke Voss gripped the railing of Iron Widow's forward deck, the thunder of plasma batteries shaking the bones in his chest. All around, the void was a slaughterhouse of twisting hulls, ruptured engines, and drifting bodies. The Dominion fleet had come in full force, a wall of living metal and fire. And yet, the humans were still here. The Breaker's gambit had worked, barely. Rourke's feint had drawn Overlord Karn's dreadnought Blood of Dominion out of the main formation, splitting his forces just long enough for Earth's battered fleet to punch through the blockade. But the cost was high. Every minute, another human ship vanished in a sunburst of flame. Target lock on the flagship confirmed. Lieutenant Merrick reported, his voice tight. "She's shielded, but we've got a window." Rourke didn't look away from the chaos outside. "Take us in." The Iron Widow dove into the maelstrom, its hull screaming against the force of the maneuver. Enemy fire raked the armor, boiling metal away in molten streams. The forward shields collapsed, and the smell of scorched composite filled the air. A massive shadow loomed, the Blood of Dominion, vast as a city, bristling with weapon spires. Its black hull drank in the light, crowned by the jagged spines of the Var-Axis war cast. "Boarding range in 60 seconds, Merrick said. Rourke checked the sidearm at his hip, the old scars on his hand aching in anticipation. "Tell Revenant to clear us a path." The AI's cold voice filled the comms. "Acknowledged. Initiating suppression fire." The Iron Widow's broadside erupted, its cannons firing in perfect synchronicity. Precision bursts punched through Var-Axis escort craft, turning them into clouds of debris. The flagship's defensive net faltered just long enough for Rourke's ship to slam into the hull. Grapple clamps bit deep. Breach! The corridor beyond was a cathedral of alien war architecture. Black metal ribbing, blood-red light, the air thick with the tang of ozone. Var-Axis soldiers poured in from every side, chitinous armor gleaming, rifles hissing with heat. Rourke moved like a man half his age. His sidearm barked 3 times, each shot a kill. Merrick stayed at his flank, rifle spitting short, controlled bursts. Behind them, Revenant's drones swept forward, firing with cold precision. The humans didn't advance like machines, they advanced like predators. Every step was calculated, every movement exploiting a weakness no alien had studied, because no alien had lived long enough to learn it. They cut through 2 decks before they reached the central lift. "Command deck," Rourke ordered. The lift doors slid open to reveal Karn himself. The Overlord was massive, armored in plates of living metal that rippled with movement. His eyes glowed with the cold fire of a strategist who'd studied war longer than humanity had existed. His voice was a low, resonant growl. "You again," Karn said. "The man who cost me a fleet. I warned them about you." "And I warned them about you," Rourke replied, stepping forward. "They didn't listen either." The lift became a killing ground. Karn struck first, his arm blade flashing like lightning. Rourke sidestepped, the blade missing by inches. He answered with a burst from his sidearm, the rounds sparking off Karn's armor. Merrick tried to flank, but the Overlord's backhand sent him sprawling. "You fight well for a dying species," Karn said, pressing forward. "Not dying," Rourke growled. "Just getting started." The fight was brutal, up close and personal. Rourke's ribs screamed as a gauntlet fist caught him in the side. He ducked under another swing, jamming his pistol into a joint seam and pulling the trigger. Karn roared, staggering back. That was the opening. Rourke charged, driving his shoulder into the Overlord's chest and forcing him into the lift wall. His knife, old earth steel, not energy-based, slid between armor plates and found flesh. Karn's clawed hands gripped his armor, dragging him close. "Even if you kill me, my fleets will finish what I began." Rourke twisted the blade. "Maybe, but they'll remember who bled you." The Overlord fell to his knees. The light in his eyes dimmed. By the time they reached the Iron Widow again, the battle was turning. Without Karn's command, the Dominion formations wavered. Revenant's calculated strikes hit their weakest points, tearing through their cohesion. Human ships regrouped, pressing the advantage. One by one, the enemy vessels broke and fled. On the command deck, cheers erupted. Merrick grinned through a bloodied face. "We did it, sir." "We?" Rourke raised a hand. "No. We survived today. That's all." Hours later, the battlefield was quiet. Wreckage drifted in the glow of Varaxis Prime's sun. The humans recovered their wounded, honored their dead, and counted their dwindling munitions. Rourke stood alone at the viewport, watching the black expanse. Merrick approached quietly. "They'll come again," the young lieutenant said. "Yes," Rourke replied. His voice was calm, certain. "And when they do, we'll be ready." Merrick hesitated. "Do you think they've learned to fear us yet?" Rourke's mouth twitched, not quite a smile. "Fear isn't enough. They need to understand. Every time they come for Earth, they'll lose more than they can afford to give. Eventually, they'll stop, or they'll die trying." The 2 men stood in silence, the stars stretching endlessly before them. Somewhere out there, the Dominion was already planning its next move. Rourke tightened his grip on the railing. Let them come. The battlefield was dead. But it wasn't quiet. Fragments of war whispered through the comm channels. Distress calls, half-finished farewells, static-laced weeping. The Iron Widow floated in the wreckage like a wounded animal, scorched and battered, her hull pocked with fresh scars. Rourke Voss stepped onto the hangar deck. The air stank of burnt wiring and antiseptic. Rows of cots lined the space, each holding a soldier in varying states of ruin. The medics worked without pause, their voices clipped, hands moving with the speed of desperation. He passed Sergeant Dene, her arm gone from the elbow down, eyes locked on the ceiling as if afraid to look anywhere else. He passed Corporal Venn, whispering his daughter's name through cracked lips. He passed too many empty cots, the ones waiting for bodies they wouldn't recover. Merrick joined him, limping. "We've got hull breaches on decks 2 and 7. Main reactor stable, but fuel reserves are low. Command says the Dominion scattered beyond tracking range." "Command's wrong," Rourke said. "They're not scattered. They're watching." The War Council convened in the shattered remains of the briefing room. Half the holotable's emitters were dead, leaving sectors of the galaxy flickering in static. Around it sat the survivors of Earth's high command in this sector, Admiral Kaito, eyes red from lack of sleep, Colonel Imani, armor still streaked with enemy ichor, and the AI Revenant, its presence projected as a shifting obsidian silhouette. Kaito spoke first. We've confirmed Overlord Karn's death. Enemy casualties exceed projections by 80%. That's a victory. It's a reprieve, Rourke corrected. The Dominion doesn't care about losses the way we do. To them, this was an experiment. They wanted to see if humans would break. And we didn't, Imani said. Rourke looked at her. Not yet. Revenant's voice cut in, devoid of warmth. Long-range sensors have detected Dominion fleet movements on the edge of the Perseus Veil. Projections indicate a reformation of forces within 39 standard days. 39 days. Barely enough time to patch hulls and bury the dead. Kaito exhaled slowly. What's your recommendation, Captain? Hit them before they regroup, Rourke said without hesitation. Find their supply lines, burn their fuel depots, cripple their shipyards. Make it hurt to even think about coming back. That's a raid into Dominion core space, Imani said. Suicide. It's survival, Rourke replied. Later, in the dim light of his quarters, Rourke studied a small metal tin on his desk. Inside were 7 brass casings, each engraved with a name. Soldiers he'd promised would make it home. 4 of them never had. The door chime broke his silence. Merrick stepped in, holding a datapad. Sir, the engineers need your sign-off to start stripping non-essential systems for parts. They're prioritizing weapons and propulsion. Rourke signed without looking up. You really think we should take the fight to them? Merrick asked. Rourke's gaze lifted. If we wait, they'll choose the time and place. That's how they win. We force them to fight where they're weak, and we keep hitting until they understand we're not prey. Merrick hesitated. And if we run out of ships? Then we fight with what's left. The next days blurred into a rhythm of repair, mourning, and preparation. The humans moved like ants across the Iron Widow, welding new plating over scorched wounds, replacing fried circuitry, recalibrating weapons. Even the wounded who could still walk found something to do. The Dominion might have been watching, but they'd see no weakness here. Rourke walked the decks daily, speaking to the crew, remembering names, listening to complaints, giving orders. He knew that morale wasn't just about winning battles. It was about making sure your people believed the fight was worth it. On the 7th day, Revenant summoned him to the bridge. We have located a potential Dominion forward staging point, the AI reported. Small enough to evade major sensor nets. Large enough to sustain a fleet. A holomap unfolded, showing a black void where no trade lanes passed. Merrick whistled low. That's deep. Even if we get there, we'd be surrounded. That's why we won't get caught, Rourke said. Plot a course. Before they left, Rourke went to the hangar one last time. Sergeant Danae was sitting upright now, her missing arm replaced with a crude cybernetic. You're shipping out again, she said. It wasn't a question. Always, Rourke replied. You'll bring it back to them, she said, eyes steady. Every hit they gave us, you'll give back twice. More than twice. The fleet was smaller now, Iron Widow, 2 corvettes, and a single missile frigate. The rest were too damaged to keep up. But the ships that remained were fast, armed, and crewed by people who'd stared death in the face and told it to wait its turn. As the stars stretched into streaks and the fleet vanished into the void, Merrick turned from the viewport. Think the Dominion's ready for us? Rourke's answer was simple. They've never been ready for humans. Far from human eyes, deep in the cold gulf between galaxies, the remnants of Karn's forces gathered. Their new commander stood before the war table, the faint pulse of the warning beacon from the blood of Dominion still flickering in the darkness. He studied it for a long time. Then he smiled. The Iron Widow emerged from FTL into a silent, starless void. No suns, no planets, only a scattered haze of cosmic dust and one artificial light, a faint pinprick in the distance. That's it, Merrick asked from the helm. Rourke stared at the speck. That's it. Revenant's voice pulsed from the comm array. Dominion forward operating base detected. Cloaking signature matches stolen Veil-class field generator. Recommend caution. Caution's not going to burn it down, Rourke said. Set course. Silent running. The engines shifted to whisper mode. The Iron Widow and her escort ships glided forward, weapons charged but hidden behind emission masks. Every crew member knew the stakes. If the Dominion spotted them before they were ready, this mission ended with human hulls turned into glowing slag. An hour later, the base filled the forward viewport. It hung in space like a predator at rest, 6 massive docking rings around a central spire, each bristling with weapons emplacements. Cargo haulers moved between bays in lazy arcs, oblivious to the danger creeping toward them. Merrick muttered, "That's not a staging post. That's a fortress." "All the more reason to hit it now," Rourke replied. The strike plan unfolded in 3 parts. The missile frigate Grey Talon would deploy decoy drones to draw the base's targeting systems off balance. The corvettes would slip in close, plant breacher charges along the docking rings, and cripple the station's external docking capacity. The Iron Widow would insert a boarding team straight into the spire's control hub, upload a virus courtesy of Revenant, and detonate the base's main fuel reserves. Simple on paper. In reality, they'd be fighting every second to stay alive. "Boarding team, gear check," Rourke ordered in the hangar. The squad was small. 8 humans in matte black armor, weapons locked and loaded, each carrying enough explosives to level a city block. Rourke's own rifle, an old but reliable CRX-11, hung at his side. "You know the job," he said, voice steady. "We get in, plant the payload, and get out. We don't take souvenirs. We don't stop for sightseeing. We hit them hard. We leave nothing they can salvage." Danae, now fully in her combat rig, despite her new cybernetic, snapped her visor down. "Let's go ruin their day." The launch was surgical. The Iron Widow's assault shuttle detached and dove toward the docking ring under full stealth. Outside, the Grey Talon's drones lit up the darkness, broadcasting false engine signatures, confusing the base's defense grid. Then the alarm started. The Dominion's comm traffic spiked. Sirens flashed across the docking rings. The enemy knew they were there, but not where. Impact. The shuttle's breaching clamp locked onto the spire's outer hull. Explosive bolts blew, and the boarding team poured into the corridor beyond, rifles up. The first wave of Dominion guards came fast. Tall, insectoid soldiers with chitin armor and multi-jointed limbs, their weapons spitting violet plasma. The humans met them head-on, short, controlled bursts tearing through armor plates, grenades turning the narrow passage into a killing ground. Rourke moved like a machine, step, fire, pivot, fire again. He didn't think about the number of enemies. He thought about the path forward. Always forward. Revenant's voice guided them through the labyrinth. "Next junction, turn right. Security node ahead. Disable it before proceeding." Danae and Corporal Venn worked the demolition charges, blowing the node in seconds. The lights flickered. Doors jammed half open. The base's automated defenses went blind in this section. "Move!" Rourke barked. They reached the control hub, a cavernous chamber with a panoramic viewport showing the battle outside. Through it, Rourke saw Grey Talon weaving through enemy fire, the corvettes slashing apart one docking ring after another. The Dominion commander turned to face them, a towering, 4-armed figure clad in segmented armor, its eyes glowing like molten gold. It spoke in perfect Terran. "You are the ones they warned us about." Rourke raised his rifle. "And you didn't listen." The fight was brutal. The commander's twin shock blades carved through bulkheads and armor alike, each strike shaking the deck. Rourke blocked with the butt of his rifle, firing point-blank into exposed joints. Danae circled, pouring rounds into its flank. Finally, Venn hurled a satchel charge directly under the commander's feet. The explosion threw them all back, but when the smoke cleared, the alien lay still, armor cracked open. "Plant the payload," Rourke ordered. Revenant's virus module slotted into the central console, its black tendrils of code devouring the Dominion systems. Warnings screamed across the station's network: reactor instability, fuel leak, cascading power failures. They ran. By the time they reached the shuttle, The base was tearing itself apart. Fire bloomed from the docking rings. Storage tanks ruptured, spewing burning gas into the void. One of the rings folded in on itself like a collapsing spine. The shuttle shot free, engines screaming. Behind them, the spire went white-hot, then shattered, the explosion rippling through the surrounding debris field. On the bridge of the Iron Widow, Merrick grinned as the blast wave lit the void. That's going to sting. Rourke dropped into the command chair, armor scorched, visor cracked. Not enough to stop them, but enough to make them think.